on this glorious Saturday. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's top stories. Students at the Lebanese American University's March 14 block wins majorities at both the Beirut and Shbeil campuses as the newly introduced voting system eliminates chaos. UN experts in Geneva say analysis of satellite imagery of a deadly attack on an aid convoy in Syria last month shows that it was eventually an airstrike. And two militants believed to be preparing a car bomb attack detonated explosives, killing themselves in a remote area near Ankara after Turkish police told them to surrender. So this came in today, a newly introduced online voting system made for a calm and quiet atmosphere where students could hold elections at the Lebanese American University. Students from the March 14 block won majorities at both the Beirut and Shbeil campuses. LAU, as it is known, claimed that this was the first time an online voting system has been used in the Middle East. In Beirut, March 14 won 9 seats as opposed to 6 for March 8th. Into the 2015 student elections, March 8 had won the majority. At the Shbeil campuses, March 14 won 8 seats to March 8's 5. 2 seats were won by independents. LAU President Dr. Joseph Jabra congratulated the victorious candidates and said the university is adamant about continuing the tradition of elections. Former Prime Minister Saad Hariri welcomed the winning candidates from the Future Movement, the Lebanese Forces, as well as the Progressive Socialist Party to his downtown Beirut residence. Lebanese Forces Chief Samir Jaja is warning that the failure of future chief former Prime Minister Saad Hariri's initiative to bring MP Michel Aoun to the post of the presidency will open Lebanon to horrifying risks, as he stressed that Hariri is very serious with regard to Aoun's nomination. Hariri, he said, is serious with regard to his initiative, but he only needs time to build an understanding with Aoun and to convince his supporters to elect him after the shifting political relations between the two parties. Jaja added that he was convinced that Hezbollah does not want founder of the Free Patriotic Movement, Aoun, or anyone else to become a president. It prefers a vacuum because a weak state means that the party will become strong and vice versa. Hariri's recent return to Lebanon triggered a flurry of rumors and media reports about a possible presidential settlement and the possibility that the former premier has finally decided to endorse Aoun for the presidency in a bid to break the deadlock. Analysis of satellite imagery of a deadly attack on an aid convoy in Syria last month showed that it was an airstrike, UN experts in Geneva are saying, before later toning down their remarks to say the finding is not conclusive. Some 20 people were killed in the attack on the UN and Syrian Arab Red Crescent convoy at Al Kubra near the northern city of Aleppo that also destroyed 18 of the 31 trucks, a warehouse and a clinic. The U.S. blamed 2 Russian warplanes, which it said were in the skies above the area at the time of the incident, but Moscow denies this and says the convoy caught fire. UNOSAT, which reviews only commercially available satellite images, was not at the time able to show and provide the images. The United Nations has officially referred to it only as an attack, but Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says he will establish an internal UN board of inquiry to investigate and urged all parties to fully cooperate. 2 militants believed to be preparing a car bomb attack detonated explosives, killing themselves in a remote area near Ankara after Turkish police told them to surrender. Ankara Governor Erkan Topaka said in a televised comment that the militants, believed to be a male and a female, probably had tied to the Kurdistan Workers' Party armed group, also known as the PKK. Police seized 2 pieces of plastic explosives and 200 kilograms of ammonium nitrate. The office said security forces launched an operation against the militants around 6 a.m. at a stud farm some 30 kilometers from the capital after the tip-off from Diyarbakir, the main city in the Kurdish heartland of southeastern Turkey. An identity card found at the scene, believed to belong to one of the would-be bombers, who was a man of the southeastern province of Bengal. A 3rd individual is also being sought after, the governor said. Coming up next, Trump releases a video statement on Facebook apologizing for his comments. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching the 1620 o'clock news here on Future Television. Egypt has admonished the U.S. Embassy in Cairo for issuing a travel warning for American citizens to avoid large gatherings and public spaces due to potential security concerns. In a statement, the Egyptian Foreign Ministry spokesman said the U.S. Embassy had informed authorities of the reasons behind the travel warning or the specifics of the security concerns. The U.S. advisory is valid through to Sunday. Spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid says his ministry contacted the embassy to seek clarifications and said that during the communication, the ministry denounced issuing such unjustified statements that may have negative consequences, especially damaging the economy. The Islamists have beaten liberal rivals in parliamentary elections in Morocco. The Interior Ministry said Prime Minister Abdelila bin Kirani's Islamist Justice and Development Party took 125 seats out of 395. Its main rival, the Authenticity and Modernity Party, which had campaigned against the Islamization of Moroccan society, won 102 seats. Istiqlal, the party which historically fought for independence from France, came third with 45 seats. In any case, the real power will remain in the hands of King Mohammed VI, the sign of a monarchy that has ruled the North African country for 350 years. Interior Minister Mohammed Hassad said that the election was transparent and had gone well, rejecting accusations of voter fraud from both sides. Hurricane Matthew has killed almost 900 people and left tens of thousands homeless in Haiti earlier this week before plowing northward over waters just off the U.S. southeast, where it caused flooding and widespread power outages. The governors of the states of Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida issued evacuation orders. Federal and state emergency officials could not immediately say how many people might have stayed despite calls to get out. Matthew was forecast to stir up the coast of the U.S. southeast, bringing fierce winds and driving rain to coastal Georgia and South Carolina before heading out to sea on Sunday. So far, some of the dire warnings officials gave about Matthew have not come to pass. The storm skirted Florida's Atlantic coast without reports of significant damage in cities and towns where the storm swamped streets and toppled trees. Officials say an estimated 355,000 people have evacuated from areas along coastal South Carolina. About 500 activists marked Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte's 100 days in office with a rally in front of the presidential palace gates in Manila, supporting his plans to cut off ties with the United States. Duterte, a former tough-talking mayor, was sworn into office on June 30th and has since then repeatedly criticized Manila's military and economic relations with the U.S. Activists held various placards urging Duterte to terminate the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, which allows U.S. troops to temporarily use Philippine military facilities. Activist leader Renato Reyes said he lauds Duterte for being the first president to reject U.S. dominance in the Philippines. Duterte has repeatedly cursed the U.S. along with other international bodies due to criticism of his ongoing crackdown on drug users and peddlers, which has killed more than 3,600 people. Duterte has been rated very good in an opinion poll on his first 90 days in office. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump released a video statement on Facebook apologizing for lewd comments he made about women. But Trump plunged into a deeper crisis on Friday after a bombshell 2005 recording came to light in which he boasted in vulgar terms about trying to have sexual relations with an unidentified married woman and groping them, saying, "When you are a star, they let you do it."
I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret, and the words released today on this more than a decade-old video are one of them. Anyone who knows me knows these words don't reflect who I am. I said it, I was wrong, and I apologize. I've traveled the country talking about change for America, but my travels have also changed me. I've spent time with grieving mothers who've lost their children, laid off workers whose jobs have gone to other countries, and people from all walks of life who just want a better future. I have gotten to know the great people of our country, and I've been humbled by the faith they placed in me. I pledge to be a better man tomorrow and will never, ever let you down. Let's be honest, we're living in the real world. This is nothing more than a distraction from the important issues we're facing today. We are losing our jobs. We're less safe than we were 8 years ago, and Washington is totally broken. Hillary Clinton and her kind have run our country into the ground. I've said some foolish things, but there's a big difference between the words and actions of other people. Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has bullied, attacked, shamed, and intimidated his victims. We will discuss this more in the coming days. See you at the debate on Sunday.
A stream of Republican leaders condemned Trump's lewd remarks, but a few lawmakers also distanced themselves further. U.S. Representative Jason Chaffetz of Utah was one of them. He has been one of Clinton's fiercest critics, and he said he retracted his endorsement of Trump.
It's sad, really, but I can't endorse Donald Trump for president. After those comments and the way he said them, there's no way I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. But I can no longer endorse Donald Trump for president. I just can't do it.
I mean, there's obviously pretty shocking kind of...
Look, we're at a pivotal point for our nation. We got the Supreme Court, we got Obamacare, we got all these really important issues we have to deal with, and so he's put us in a terrible, terrible position. But I can't look my 15-year-old daughter in the eye and tell her I endorse this person to become the president of the United States. I just can't do it. I think what he said and how he said it was so abhorrent, so offensive. I hope nobody goes back and looks at that ever again. And then his so-called apology, that wasn't an apology. That was an apology for getting caught. To say it's, well, you know, Bill Clinton has done far worse on the golf course. Well, that should have been his first clue that maybe it was the wrong thing to do in the first place. That wasn't an apology, and so it's really disappointed and sad, really. It puts the country in a very precarious position, but I can't endorse this person. Not with my 15-year-old daughter. How am I going to look her in the eye? I just can't do it.
Colombians celebrated the Nobel Peace Prize won by President Juan Manuel Santos for his efforts in building a peace agreement with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia to end 52 years of civil war. The Norwegian Nobel Committee said Santos had brought one of the longest civil wars in modern history significantly closer to a peaceful solution. But there was still a danger the peace process could collapse after the agreement was rejected in a popular vote on Sunday. Greeting supporters outside the presidential palace on Friday evening, a clearly elated and relieved Santos said the country could not falter now in the next steps towards achieving peace. A small crowd gathered in Bogota's Central Boulevard Plaza in the evening with white balloons, Colombian flags, and a sign reading "United for Peace." Several thousands also marched through the streets of Colombia's other main city, Medellin, on Friday night in spite of the rain. More than 220,000 people have died on the battlefield in massacres during the struggle between leftist guerrillas, right-wing paramilitaries, and government troops. This brings an end to our newscast. Let me remind you of our headlines. Students at the Lebanese American University's March 14 block win majorities at both the Beirut and Jbeil campuses with the newly introduced voting system. UN experts in Geneva say analysis of satellite imagery of a deadly attack on an aid convoy in Syria last month showed that it was an airstrike. Two militants believed to be preparing a car bomb attack detonated explosives, killing themselves in a remote area near Ankara after Turkish police told them to surrender. Your weekend headlines here on Future Television. Thank you to all our viewers for watching. Tune in again tomorrow for all the latest. Have a good weekend.